Let's address the elephant in the room, chicken legs. Calisthenics athletes are infamous for not training legs, but you have to understand that bodybuilding and calisthenics are not the same sport. You have big legs because it makes you look good, but having big legs just makes us have to lift them more in order to do the moves that we want to do, such as planche and front lever. The goal of calisthenics isn't to build a really big, bulky physique. It's to ensure that everything is in balance. So today I'm gonna show you how I train legs, how I program legs for my clients, so that people can just stop roasting calisthenics athletes like they have been for years on how they don't train legs, because we might have small legs, but they do pack a punch, and it's also not that relevant to our sport. So who am I? My name is Isaac. I've been training calisthenics for 8 years now. I can squat 140 kilos and I can deadlift 190 kilos. And I've actually spent the past few years experimenting between weightlifting and calisthenics in order to understand these two worlds. And now I'm gonna give a message to calisthenics athletes. You don't get a prize for avoiding weights. The goal is to become stronger. So if you want to get big legs and you're like, oh, I'm just gonna do calisthenics exercises for me to get there. Sorry, buddy, there's no trophy for you, okay? No one really cares. So I'm not gonna sit here and say that calisthenics is optimal for legs, because it's not. You need weights to properly optimize them. And the way that you get big is by getting strong. And if you can get strong with weights, then yeah, you will get big legs. But then you need to ask yourself this, is legs really a goal? Because if you want to do human flag, muscle up, planche, front lever, every kilogram that you add onto your body just makes the leverage harder. And if we think about skills like the planche as a seesaw, we can try to imagine 1 kilogram weight being placed in the center versus a 1 kilogram weight being placed at the very end. Of course, when it's placed at the very end, it's going to have a bigger force coming down compared to one in the center because of gravity. So naturally, calisthenics athletes don't care about mass. And before we continue with the programming, the structure, and all these exercises, I want to point out that a lot of people think that if you just ride a bike or do crazy amounts of like calisthenics bodyweight exercises, you'll get really big legs. And the first person that comes to mind is that really jacked cyclist who has crazy legs, but you don't realize that guy literally squats a lot of weight. I've seen videos of that dude just putting his legs through work. And the bike that he rides, it's not just a simple push bike. The gears on this bike is like freaking like 35 or something. So you literally have to, really crank that thing in order for it to even move like a centimeter. And guess what that is? That's resistance, which is weight, but on a bike. So don't be afraid to use weights. It's a tool. So now, what happens when I want to write a leg program for my clients? Or if you're just a beginner watching this, how do you train legs with calisthenics? There are 5 things that you want to master when it comes to legs. It's the squat, it's the hinge, glutes, calves, and hamstrings. If you master these areas, you'll get athletic legs at best without wasting a lot of time. Because let's be honest, most people don't have access to a gym or weights, so they have to make do with what they have. So this is not a bad option. So the first one is a squat. I would say it's the king of calisthenics exercises, which is the pistol squat, because you have all that stability when working on one leg. You can add weight via weight vest or kettlebells, and you can even reduce some of that instability by holding an object to make sure that your leg is stable. So with all those versatile options, pistol squats is definitely the go for squatting. The strength, the balance, the mobility, tendon strength, coordination, that carries over onto many sports like soccer, mixed martial arts, running, and just overall everyday stuff. Like when I get out of the pool, sometimes I just put my leg on the top and then I just pistol squat out of it. Well, it's not really a pistol squat, it's just a one leg squat, but it's a really good transfer in strength. Now, if you don't want to do pistol squats, there's stuff like split squats, Bulgarian squats. You can progressively overload with weights, and if it's too hard, then you can also use a stick placed on the ground, helps you get that stability. A stick is going to be your best friend when training legs with calisthenics. Now for the quads, I would say sissy squats are really good, and a lot of bodybuilders do sissy squats anyways. You can have a machine that you can put your legs in, and it kind of like just blocks your knees from moving, and you can just do squats that way. Add a weight plate if it's too easy, and you can do that sissy squat variation where you lean back, kind of like JoJo pose, and you can add weights that way too. And if it's too hard, or you just want to push even more, get a stick or hold something, create that stability so you can recruit more muscle fibers. And if you have patellar tendinopathy, then sissy squat isometrics at the very bottom is very good for your knee health. Also, reverse Nordic curls is basically like sissy squats, except you put your knees on the ground and then you just lean back, and you can use a stick for that one as well, just to help you get down. So like if it's too hard for you to go, then you can help yourself with the stick. Now, another message to calisthenics athletes, don't skip the hinge movement. It's basically just like Romanian deadlifts, and the only way that you can really work on it that well is if you have weights or a barbell. Also, just way too inefficient, because when you get really old and you want to say like lift a box out of the car, then if your hinge or your lower back is very weak, you'll pull it and you'll have to get workers' compensation. That actually happened to my mum like 3 months ago. So this is just like a forward warning. Work on that lower back. A lot of calisthenics athletes, when they do moves like 720s and like a lot of planche movements, they ignore their lower back, and it leads to a lot of injuries in the future. So please keep that in mind. So deadlifts, Romanian deadlifts, Jefferson squats, where it's like a little bit more flexibility focus, is going to be good. Hamstrings. Now, calisthenics does have a very famous hamstring exercise called the Nordic curl. So torturous, you basically just anchor your heels and you try to come down with a very straight body, like locked in core. You can wrap a band around your body in order for you to reduce some of that load coming down on your hamstrings. You can use a stick as well. So as you come down, you just use less stick. And when you come up again, that's when it's very challenging, because you're no longer doing the eccentric, you're doing the concentric. A very few people that I know can do the concentric of a Nordic curl. They usually have to like push up with their body to create the momentum, or they have to do like a hinge where they have to push their hips backwards in order for them to decrease some of that leverage, because when they have the core straight, it's really hard, but when they fold in the core and hinge the hip, then they can get up. So that's an exercise that is top tier for hamstring strength in calisthenics. But if you can't do those, it's also nice if you can isolate the hamstrings, because that's something that you do want to work on. An exercise for that will be a towel hamstring curl. So literally lie down and then you just kind of just bring your heels to your butt and then activate your hamstrings and then come back down. Glutes. Now this one's very simple. Just squat until your butt gets really big. You do single leg hip thrusts. That's also really good, or just hip thrust if you're not that strong. And then you can do single leg glute bridges, which is that isometric hold at the top. And then you've got like those Pilates exercises where you can work on your abduction. So like stick one leg up while you're holding a ground support position. A lot of yoga people do that. A lot of Pilates girls in those studios work on those types of things. I honestly think it's really important as rehab, especially if you're an athlete, but it often gets neglected, because who's really going to do those things? Compound exercises are much more fun, like just doing a squat or just doing like pistol squat. Will work on all of those anyways because of the instability. But yeah, there is some benefit to isolating it and doing all these, Pilates yoga exercises. Lastly, we have calves. It's actually a really important muscle if you want to jump high and if you want to protect your ankle joint when you're running. And so training calves is really important actually, but I neglect it a lot, because who actually likes training calves? It hurts. You can do standing calf raises, single calf raises. But a really good tip that I have is if you have access to a gym and there's a Stairmasters, you can turn that into cardio and also a calf workout at the same time. If it's set at a slow enough speed for you to really feel that stretch in the calf, also get that contraction, Stairmasters is very, very nice. Just make sure that you go really hard on calves, because when you walk around, you use your calves all day and they're carrying your fat ass. So you need to make sure that you're actually creating a stimulus that is going to force an adaptation, basically just shocking the body into making your calves grow. Because if it's just comfortable and you're not really working hard on them, then it's doing the exact same work as you just getting steps in every single day. Now, one thing that calisthenics athletes overlook, but lots of athletes use very frequently, is power training. Because calisthenics is just like body weight training, right? But like if you're playing football, if you're pole vaulting, if you're playing basketball, you would just want to run fast, jump high, and change directions really well. Training plyometrics, which is just like power and explosive training for your legs, is really important. Honestly, if you want to start plyometrics, you can do like box jumps, you can do side jumps, lunges, and all that kind of stuff. A lot of people recommend sprint training, so that could just be on the track, or you can do hill sprints, interval sprints. That recruits a really high amount of fast twitch muscle fibers, so your legs will be absolutely cooked after this. You wouldn't even want to get out of bed the next day, but your explosiveness will be really good, your coordination will improve, your lifespan will decrease. Joking, but I think it would actually decrease if you go that hard. Pretty much your ability to produce force with your legs will go really high. And that's why you see athletes like Haaland and LeBron James and Usain Bolt do calisthenics exercises. Well, it's called plyometrics now because the actual athletes like in calisthenics don't really do that stuff, so we're just giving it to them. Now I want to talk about cardio, because when you're a calisthenics athlete and you want to increase your strength, one of the highest levers that you can pull is to increase your body weight ratio, because the lighter that you are while retaining the same amount of muscle mass as you were before, the lighter you get from that, your your strength will just increase. Doing cardio is going to be really good because we don't want to eat less because we're not going to get enough nutrients as an athlete, but we can do more activity so that we still lose fat. And this might be controversial. Actually, it's not. It depends who you're talking to. But like if I'm preparing for a competition, which I am right now, there's like 57 days until my competition. I want to not train legs because it leaves more mental bandwidth for me to do my cardio, which I have to do a lot of cardio. And so I'd much rather save the time and the stress and the need to recover after a leg workout and put that into getting my steps up and doing incline treadmill, normal treadmill, biking if my ankles are bad and I want to not affect the joints, and swimming or Stairmasters. Yeah, I could do those instead. Those will build leg strength for sure, but not the leg strength that bodybuilders will get. You know, if you just continuously do the same amount of cardio, you'll get better at that cardio and your legs will get that specific type of strength. The said principle, right? Whatever you do is what you get good at. So leg training doesn't have to be complicated. Just work on your glutes, squat, hinge, hamstrings, and your calves. You can also train explosively. You can use different types of cardio, but don't be afraid to use weights when it makes sense. Remember, there is no prize for avoiding weights. We're all trying to be stronger, healthier, more athletic, and we just want to live a good life when we get older. So if you enjoyed this video, then make sure you subscribe, like the video. Let me know if you want to see more lower body stuff or we just stick to the upper body stuff. And if you want me to create a routine that works for you, then click on the link below. But I'll see you in the next one.